everybody, and welcome back to Wander No More, a nice little game from my friends at Unwanted Studios. In the last episode, we dealt with the beginning of my character, Koichiro, and how he tried to join this thing, and then he killed a whole village of people, but there was a girl left, and she didn't have a hand, and just watch the last episode, you'll understand. Anyway, we'll go ahead and take off to where we were. Araki, put that down. You're just going to hurt yourself. That's a two-person job, even for adults. Yes, sir, Koichiro-sama. Azai, help your brother to keep that frame in place. I want that door fixed before any more bugs make it inside. Understood, Koichiro-sama. Watching on with pride and anxiety alike, I instructed my two young pupils as they fixed the front door of their new home. Araki and Azai both made a lot of mistakes, but they listened to me intently, and I continued to improve every day. And, like this, Koichiro-sama? Yes, just like that. Be mindful that you don't pierce the sheets. One little hole is all it takes for bugs to get in. Making do with what we had available, my pupils and I removed the bulk of the house's old front door, leaving only the frame. We then replaced the charred wood with sheets, making for a lightweight door, only secure enough to keep out insects and other pests. I guess this will have to do, at least for the time being. I would have rationed the wood more carefully if I had known we would be taking another family so soon, but if I had that kind of foresight, I wouldn't be here to begin with. All I can do now is schedule another lumber gathering trip into the forest. How does this look, Koichiro-sama? Ah, very good, Azai. That'll do for now. You two should go tell your parents the good news, then report back to me after lunch. Yes, sir! Araki and Azai bowed, then ran inside to inform their parents. And that would be my cue to check on my own family. By the time I returned home, Chiyo was already waiting for me. She sat in front of the living room table, exercising great restraint as she fought her desire to start eating without me. There you are, Ko. I was beginning to think you were going to work through lunch. Me? Miss Lunch? Not a chance. I wouldn't risk invoking your anger again by not eating. Glad to hear it. I took my place on the other side of the table, directly opposite Chiyo. So, how are the repairs in the Kihei family home going? Are the boys doing well? I cannot fucking breathe. They're enthusiastic enough, but it'll take a while before they're ready to take over for me. Still, it is nice to have a couple of extra hands. I know what you mean. Kana-chan has been a big help when collecting food and water from the forest. Haha, you two are really getting along well, aren't you? Of course. I've waited a long time for a girl my own age to come along. A little over 1 month ago, a new family wandered into our village. Like me, they fled from the Mirai Kingdom, fearing for their lives. Although they were difficult to accommodate at first, the family of 5 has since proven invaluable, providing much-needed labor which Chiyo and I have previously doing ourselves. The mother of the family, another elderly woman, has been learning how to weave, and the father has been whittling down spare wood in order to make crude weaponry. More importantly, the two sons, Azai and Araki, 12 and 13 years old, have been helping me with my manual labor, so I gotta make those voices childlike somehow. Similarly, the older sister Kana quickly became friends with Chiyo and has been learning the layout of the forest, as well as which plants are edible and which are poisonous. Speaking of Kana, do you feel like she knows the forest well by now? I was thinking of sending the boys in there to search for lumber, so it would help if she escorted them while you continued to gather food. Well, I guess, but does that mean the two of us won't be taking any more trips through the forest? You actually want to walk through the forest with me? When I first came here, the last thing you wanted was to be left alone with me, especially in the forest. That was a long time ago. Your former allies killed my family, and you expected me to just go along with you? Of course I didn't want to go. Yeah, when you put it like that, I can't really blame you. But I'm happy to hear that your mistrust is in the past. It really is easier to navigate through the forest with your help. Of course it is. You should know by now how reliable I am. But that still doesn't answer my question. Right. Our walks through the forest. If you want to go with me that badly, I suppose we could put Kana on food gathering duty and have her brothers help her out. It's not that I want to go with you or anything. Ooh, it's not like I like you or anything, senpai. Goo. I can't help it. I'm sorry. I just thought that it would be nice. Chio hung her head and began to nibble on one of the berries in her bowl. This daughter of mine really can't be honest with herself. Even after all this time, she still feels the need to hide her feelings from me. Perhaps 1 year isn't enough time for two people to become a family after all. Perhaps, especially since her family was murdered. Alright, well, we just got the next day now. It's not months this time, it's just a day. Whoa, this place is huge. Do you really think they come out here every day, Nissan? Hey, look, there's a path carved through the bush. Azai, I'll ride you over to the big tree over there. You're on. Hey, hold on a minute. Don't go running off on your own. Jeez. Why don't you two ever listen to me? Shortly after entering the forest, Azai and Arakai ran off. Their older sister Kana gave chase, but proved no match for her energetic siblings, who could only trail behind. That didn't take long. You know the... I can't do that. You know how those two are. They may listen to you intently, but their sister is another matter altogether. I guess that's just how children are. Do you have any siblings, Ko? I know it's a bit late to be asking now, but you're always so reluctant to talk about your past. So, it's alright. It's just my old work that I don't like to talk about. And no, I don't have any siblings. But I did have a couple of childhood friends, and they both had siblings, so I know what it's like. That must have been nice. As you already know, I was an only child, and there weren't any other kids around my age either. So even if Kana and her family had come along before our village was set alight, I'm sure we would still have wound up becoming friends. Though, I suppose it's the best that they came afterwards, isn't it? Yes, you're right. If the Kihi family had fled the Mirai Kingdom before I did, their deaths would now be hanging over my head, just like so many others. So what were your childhood friends like? Were they good people? Did they remain your friends with... Wait, did you remain friends with them when you grew up? Oh, my friends. It's a bit... complicated. Is that so? Let me guess. One of them was a girl, and the other was a boy. You're right, but it's not what you think. Haru, a while after she found out what Ito and I were doing for a living, she took her own life. I see. I'm sorry, Ko. I didn't mean to... It's fine. There was no way that you could have known that. Yeah, but... Chio looked up at me with sadness in her eyes. I wasn't sure if she felt sympathy, pity, or a sense of solidarity given what had happened to her own family. But whichever feeling was behind that look, I couldn't stand seeing Chio look at me like that again. Forget about it, alright? Let's go find some lumber before the kids finish doing their rounds. Okay. So he's got a pass, does he? Chio and I walked through the forest in relative silence. In the distance, I could hear rummaging in addition to the occasional gleeful shout or cry of annoyance. Yeah, you're never gonna catch me, Nissan! Oops, almost. You need to work on your leg strength, Nichan. Hold still, you little brats! Can't you ever just listen to your sister? I'm trying to teach you something important! Whatever, we're working men now. We'll leave the food gathering to the women. Right. We fixed the house so you go get the food. That's how society works. You brats. Fine. Run through the poison ivy for all I care. Good luck getting out of this forest on your own. Oh, okay. Well, Nichan? Did Nichan just abandon us? I tried to stifle my laughter as Chio and I listened in on the conversation being held between the Kaihi or Kihi siblings. I don't know how to pronounce that one. I don't know. Those three sure do get along well. You can say that again. They're like that every day, yet they always make up in the end. Indeed. They're just like how we used to be. I try to help you or ask you a question, and you just brush me off. Well, excuse me for not trusting a complete stranger. Besides, you were far from perfect yourself. I told you time and time again not to follow me, and whenever you did, you wound up getting lost in the forest. Hey, I was just looking out for you. If you say so. At any rate, you seem to have learned your lesson, given that you asked me to be your guide. Why wouldn't I? Nobody in Hatsu Village knows this forest like you do. So, Elder Spirit of the Forest, where do you think one might find lumber suitable for repairing houses? Right this way, befuddled traveler. Chio led me way deeper into the forest, taking me to an unfamiliar area. Although I didn't know the forest as well as Chio, I had spent enough time to know the area close to town. So if I didn't know where I was, it was a safe bet that we were in pretty deep. I should really make an axe one of these days. Going this far into the forest just to search for fallen trees isn't practical, nor is carrying back wood over such a distance. The village is in decent shape now, and I have Azai and Araki to help me, so I should have some time to fashion some more tools. With ample wood lying around from the toils of former villagers, not to mention the remains of several houses, securing lumber was never a high priority. My early days in Hotsu were spent utilizing the resources my predecessor had left behind, and using makeshift tools in place of anything more useful, like a hammer or an axe. But with a growing village, ongoing repairs, and the occasional newcomer, relying on existing resources was no longer an option. Okay, this ought to do it. What do you think? Did I come through or what? Chio stopped in front of a fallen tree, which had been pierced by a large rock as it landed. It would still require brute strength to tear off anything worthwhile, and I'd need an axe to take away most of it, but it was quite a find nonetheless. You sure did, as expected from my wonderful daughter. You're never going to give this whole father-daughter thing a rest, are you? Like I told you from the beginning, we're far too close in age to be parent and child. Nobody in the village believes it anyway. Why do you even bother saying it? Chio stared at me with a serious expression on her face, as though tired of the farce. I know it's not believable, that isn't the point. Chio, what do you suppose the other villagers would think if we weren't parent and child? Exactly what they think of us now, right? Are you sure about that? A young man and woman not related by blood, living together, calling one another by their first names without honorifics? Do I really need to spell it out for you? I still don't get it. You don't use honorifics with anyone, do you? And so what if we live together and aren't related by blood? That doesn't mean... Wait a minute. You don't mean... Chio's face was suddenly dyed bright red. Only 1 year away from being of age, Chio would easily pass for a young bride, especially if her husband was a renowned samurai. But after being on our own for so long and spending every day simply trying to survive, such frivolous thoughts never even entered Chio's mind. You must be joking! Who would marry a worthless samurai like you? Come now, there's no need to get defensive. Who's being defensive? I'm just setting the facts straight. Calm down, Chio. I have no intention of getting married again. Anyway, I hope that answers your question. I guess. Though it still doesn't explain why we're father and daughter and not siblings. She's got me there. To be honest, when I first saw Chio in that storeroom, I could only think of her as a little girl. A child who needed protecting, far too young and weak to be my sister. But I was wrong, and now it's too late to change our story. That's because we look so different, you know? When people point out our dissimilar appearances, I can say that you take after your mother. Is that right? Well, I guess it doesn't matter. It's too late to change our story now anyway. Phew. Now, let's get moving. You get the boys to help you with the lumber, and I'll go look for Kana-chan. Whatever you say, Chio. Aww. I think that she might like me. But I'm not too sure. I can't read Chio that well. I think I've got it. Careful with that. You don't want to lose a finger. Relax, I'm fine. It's just like Papa showed us. After devoting a few days to stockpiling lumber, Azai, Araki, and I undertook a different task than usual. The village no longer needed any urgent repairs, and we had gathered enough lumber to accommodate one more family should they appear. So with the knowledge their father bestowed upon us, our increasing awareness of the forest adjacent to Hotsu village, and more lumber than we needed. Done! My trap is complete! We began to make crude wooden traps. Well done, Azai. Now place the bait in the trap and move on to the next one. Yes, sir, Koichiro-sama. While the girls had been doing well in their role of providing berries and fruit for the village, the lack of variety was disheartening. Only once had I tasted flesh coming to Hotsu, and every day I craved the taste of cooked meat more and more. So, with a wannabe weaponsmith drearily biding his time and his two sons both eager to eat meat again, I brought the three together for a new venture. Using string and sharpened wooden spikes, we fashioned basic traps triggered by pressure. By placing a few berries and leaves in the center of the trap, we would lure unsuspecting rabbits into the string, at which point the wooden spike would be pulled forward and stab the rabbit from above. Koichiro-sama, I think I made mine a little too big. That's an understatement. That trap is far too big for catching rabbits. But you might as well set it up anyway. Who knows, you might even catch a bear. A bear? Are there really bears in here, Koichiro-sama? Of course not. There's nothing that dangerous around here. Oh, Chio, I didn't expect to see you here. Done already? Not yet. I just thought I'd see how you boys were doing. But from the look of it, you three still have a lot of work to do. How harsh. We only just started, you know. We'd be further along if Araki followed Papa's instructions. Hey, it's not my fault he can't explain anything properly. His explanation was fine. It's your brain that needs fixing. Come here! Like usual, Azai and Araki began brawling without hesitation. Though typically playful, the two often fought, and all it took was one slight comment from either brother before their fists began flying. I just realized my poster was flying up at my face. Maybe I should teach those two how to wield a sword. It might do them some good to learn discipline and to vent their frustration productively. Although, if you teach them how to use a sword, they might kill one another if they constantly keep getting in a fight. That didn't take much. Boys really are violent thugs, aren't they? If you want someone to agree with you, Chio, you should really be saying that to Kana. Besides, there's no harm in a little roughhousing. Even when they're this close to the traps they just made? Boys, stop that this instant! Azai and Araki both stopped at my command. They slowly walked back over, paying little attention to the two traps they had just set. Sorry, Koichiro-sama. Yeah, we're sorry. Look, if you do want to play around, that's fine, but do it away from the traps you just set. Whoa, you're right! Understood, Koichiro-sama. I'm going to go back to gathering food. You three have fun. God damn it. Without another word, Chio walked straight past us, deeper into the forest. Something tells me I'll be hearing more about that during lunch. Oh well. Chio's message was conveyed, and that's what matters. Alright, you two, back to work. And make sure to keep track of every trap you set. Chio, your sister and I all need to know exactly what to look out for. Got it? Understood. Yes, sir, Koichiro-sama. There we go. It's hard to do little boy voices. I know I'm a guy, but I don't know why. It's just hard to do. In the days following our first attempt to making traps, my pupils and I were quick to reap the rewards of our effort. On the first night, we managed to capture 6 rabbits and 1 fox, all of which we skinned and consumed that very night. Although we didn't get to eat much, considering how many villagers the meat was shared between, the familiar taste was enough to almost bring me to tears. In light of our success, that day we set up some more traps once again and crafted several more. With the taste of meat still fresh in our minds, Azai, Araki, and I all did our part, setting up literally dozens of traps, limited only by the amount of string at our disposal. Nonetheless, our efforts were rewarded once again. We captured more rabbits than last time, enough to divide them up evenly between every member of our small village. This pattern repeated once more, and if all goes well, it will repeat yet again today. Alright, and I think there is a good stopping point. I think I'll go ahead and save and take a little break, but thank you guys very much for joining me on Wander No More. I am Flog, and you guys can check this game out yourself if you guys would like to. I'll leave you a link to the itch.io page, and I'll leave you a link to the Steam page because this is on Steam as well. But thank you guys very much for joining me. Remember to hit that like button, comment, and of course subscribe. Are you gaming? Well, you should be. So get out there, guys, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye, everybody! Now we're gonna run into a fight. Oh, they're maggots. Oh, that's not too bad. Figment of my imagination is a pink-haired girl that is literally pantsless.